Hey folks, this is Rhykker, and there is an aRPG in development that is unlike any that I've ever played before. And yet, it feels strangely familiar. The reason for that is the strong Diablo 2 DNA built in, because some of the folks working on this are responsible for Diablo 2. And what I'm talking about, folks, is the new game in development by Moonbeast. Huge disclaimer here, the footage you're seeing is pre-alpha. Devs never do this. They never show a game this early in development. They aren't even giving their official game title yet. So we're just calling it Moonbeast Game for now, but that is not the actual title. So before I dive too deep into things, let's talk really high level here. Fully destructible 3D environment, voxel based. Randomized worlds with events that evolve and shape and change the world right before your eyes. And you have agency to effectuate change in that world. Jumping, swimming, full 3D camera angle swapping navigation of the world, and a promise of big modding support, with people being able to run their own custom servers. This is my high-level summary. Think Diablo meets like Valheim meets Minecraft, but all with a rich aRPG DNA, with the itemization, with the skill expression that you come to expect. But right before we dive deeper into Moonbeast's game, folks, just a heads up that you can find my video coverage of various aRPGs now on my website, Rhykker.com. I'm in the process of reworking it. For instance, I put up my early access review of Titan Quest 2 over there, and that takes us to a word from this video's sponsor, Squarespace. I built my website using Squarespace, and I was able to do everything myself quickly and easily and with zero education in the field, all thanks to how easy Squarespace is to work with. Squarespace offers a ton of pre-made, professionally designed website templates for any kind of website, and also offers Blueprint AI, which is an AI-enhanced website builder to help you fully customize a beautiful-looking, personalized website made exactly for your needs and your unique identity. Squarespace even has optimized SEO tools so that you can launch your website and start getting views as quickly as possible through search engine traffic, plus analytics to then review where your traffic is coming from. You can also sell products or services, with Squarespace providing everything you need to engage customers, from easy online payment methods to built-in tools for inventory, shipping, and fulfillment. And this includes custom merch. You just send in the designs and Squarespace handles everything else. Basically, if you want to build a website, I recommend Squarespace. So head to squarespace.com/Rhykker or click the link in the description to start your free trial and use code Rhykker to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain when you're ready to launch. That's squarespace.com/RHYKKER and use code Rhykker. Moonbeast was founded by Phil Shank and Peter Hu about 4 years ago. For any Diablo veterans, those names better be familiar. Phil Shank as in Shank the Overseer. This guy wrote the Diablo World Bible. And Peter Hu? He was largely responsible for a lot of the awesome stuff added to Diablo 2 later in its life. Those crazy rune word patches. To add on to that, Eric Schaefer joined the founding team like a year after they came together. Eric Schaefer of the two Schaefer brothers plus David Brevik, who were the founders, the fathers of Diablo. Since Diablo 2, these guys have all kind of gone their own ways, come back together, gone their own ways, come back together. They've worked on things like Hellgate London, like Torchlight, even Marvel Heroes Online. And the team that these guys have built now is filled with aRPG veterans who've worked on various Diablo titles and other aRPGs or aRPG adjacent games. Now, modern aRPGs, right? The big names out there are all following relatively similar formulas. You can say that the aRPG has been distilled to a certain formula, and you have to have all these elements. And there's few games that dare try to stray from that. No Rest for the Wicked is one of them, but for a lot of people that's way too Souls-like. Moonbeast's game here is something else that is taking a different spin on the aRPG. They are very much staying true to the feel of the aRPG, the progression, the loot, and all of that. But no one has done this sort of voxel-based world before. This game is all about emergent gameplay. All the other games, you're going right, like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, you're following the story. With Moonbeast's game, they want the story to unfold through your gameplay, through the random events that happen. Now, I'm going to stress again, this is pre-alpha. They are nowhere close to ship. There's still going to be a million things changed, added, tweaked, improved, all of that. So take everything that you're looking at very much from the point of view of it being the spirit of what they seek to achieve here. What we're looking at is the potential, and I am loving this potential. Right off the bat, this is a paid title. The dev team hates MTX, so don't worry about a cash shop. No release date yet, not even close. You could and you should stay tuned and stay informed on everything that's going on with this game. Links in the description to stay informed on when you can try this out yourself. Right now, unfortunately, I know people keep asking, I've been streaming this on Twitch, people keep asking me, oh, how could I play this? I'm sorry, you can't. But one day you will be able to. They do allow some people into closed testing. You can go apply for it. And I sort of hinted at this before, but the game will have multiplayer. So one reason I brought up like Valheim or Minecraft is that you can like host your own server for your friends to come on, because your world, it's a randomized seed. That's why it's so unlike the formulaic aRPGs that are out there. Whenever you generate your world, it is unique to you. No one will get that exact same world. There's going to be biomes, right? Like Valheim, you progress through different biomes, but your spawning location and how everything populates around it is randomized via a seed. And you will be able to host your own servers, so there also, I believe, will be fully offline mode as well. Because you can host your own servers, the game should be infinitely moddable. We've never had that. I love modding in games. I grew up on StarCraft mods and Unreal Tournament mods and Warcraft 3 mods and all that, and it's really a shame that Blizzard dropped the ball on supporting modding. I'm happy to see some aRPG come in and take up this cup, because with modding, any complaints you have about the game, well, just change it to whatever you want on your server. Now, in the current gameplay, you're seeing the Witch class. This is the only class that they've implemented so far, or at least allowed us to try, and she's a hybrid combat magic character. So you can kind of see in the gameplay here that I go between a melee attack and shooting some magic missile kind of things. Now, they had 2 preset builds available for the Witch. The first one, right away, I would say that things felt good. I wasn't expecting that, for the combat to feel good as of level 1, to already feel like you have great mobility. With the first build, you had your primary attack was a gap closer. So right away, you're, walking towards the enemy, you click on it and zoom. You zoop to him, instantly closing that distance. But my favorite build was the other one, where your primary attack is actually a scorpion, get over here. So a gap closer in the opposite sense. And I combine that then with my sort of magic missile ranged power that consumes mana. So I'm actually generating some mana with my primary attack, I'm consuming it with the second. Then as I leveled up later on, I unlocked another power that allows me to teleport and basically create a nova where I land damage enemies. So this is a highly mobile class. I mean, I imagine all classes are going to be highly mobile, because on top of your regular movement, right, everyone can just jump. You can double jump, in fact, and you have your dash on a cooldown. You can generate like a number of dash charges, and so they have, I think they actually call it stamina. You have stamina, that's your number of dash charges that you have. If you pay close attention, there's little references, little nods to Diablo 2 here and there, like an NPC named Lum, or the big villain, the final boss, I guess, of this demo is a lich, I believe, named Narlathak. The music as well, it's reminiscent of certain familiar tones and strings. Overall, the tone, it's dark fantasy, but it's not grim dark the way Diablo is. It's a little bit more fairy tale dark, more like Brothers Grimm as opposed to grim dark. And again, the big selling points here is that you got this dynamic world and dynamic events, and where these converge is effectively your story. And your story will differ from my story, and his story and her story. And so every time you make a new character, it's going to be a different experience, right? Playing through the campaign 80 billion times isn't a thing in this game. First off, right off the bat, just as you are fighting monsters, some of your attacks, some of the enemy's attacks are destroying the environment, literally shaping the world. Sometimes they'll run into mounds in the earth, and they'll like erupt, and a bunch of goblins will come out. It was like a goblin in the hobbit hole or something. There's this really neat set piece that they set up where they have lava in some place, and they have this big cistern of water right next to it. And if you don't touch it, nothing happens. But if you were to, damage the cistern wall, to break it, and let the water pour out, that water will interact with the magma to turn it to rock. And now you can walk across that magma to get to the dungeon. And speaking of that magma dungeon, inside of that there are kind of like magma bubbles, or magma cisterns, not literally what they are, but effectively. And if you aren't careful and you let some stray bullets destroy the walls holding back the magma, well, it's going to start flowing and it might cut off your exit to the dungeon. And you may need to carve a path through the rock to get back to the exit. There's also going to be like hidden chambers in these dungeons where you're going to need to like break through walls to get into. Now we're talking about events, and some of the major ones here. Right off the bat, what you're introduced to is a quest where, without getting too much into it, you cause the start of a necropolis to grow. So this is like a zone overtake event. Think about like Diablo 4 Helltide, except imagine the Helltide starts off like this in a tiny little zone and grows gradually and grows and grows and grows and grows and grows and grows, slowly enveloping the entire world until you go in and stop it by killing the boss in the middle. But you're too weak to kill the boss at the start, so you gotta go level up, find loot, while this thing, this corruption, is visibly overtaking your map, not just on your minimap, but it is literally terraforming your world. You go into the zone and you dynamically are seeing the necropolis rise from the ground. If you're standing on it, it's literally moving you up. And as it's rising, skeletons start spawning, as well as a lot of high-level or high-loot chests. So it's encouraging gameplay where it's like, okay, well, do you want to deal with this right now, or do you want to let it grow a bit to sort of like transform your world into a higher-level zone with more loot? So I can see different strategies whereby you want to tackle it right away, or you want to wait for it to take over the world. In the gameplay that you're seeing, I actually employed a different strategy because I was really struggling against the Necropolis boss, the Lich Narlithak, where I actually farmed up the entire world before triggering the Necropolis spawn. I don't think they intended me to do that, but I did it. You can't stop me. And yeah, the reason I farmed up everything before was because previously I was just failing. The Necropolis was taking over most of my world, so I decided to save it for last. It still grew a lot more than I expected. I thought I'd be able to take out the boss like that. No, he was freaking tough. And the Necropolis, as it's spreading and growing, it will actually destroy things like waypoints, or if you have little town hubs. So, you know, it's not just whatever. Like, there are consequences to what is happening in this world. Everything has meaning. So that's one of the takeover zones. Another one of the takeover zones was this region where it was like this evil plant. It was like spreading this miasma, and when you enter it, I think you have a limited amount of time before you either die or start taking damage or something, because as you enter at first, the miasma clears around you, but the longer you wait in it, the fog is closing in, closing in, closing in, closing in, and then I run out. I didn't wait to see what happened. I figured it'd be bad stuff. I ran out to reset it and then go back in, and you gotta kill that plant at the middle to put a stop to this chicanery. So one thing I wondered, for instance, well, what were to happen if the Necropolis zone entered into that other zone? So these kind of dynamic events are going to be a core part of the game. Apparently, future updates will also include player building, as in like housing kind of stuff, so excited to see how they work that in. Now, note that I mentioned swimming before. Again, it's just great that anywhere that you can see in the world, you can basically either climb or jump or swim. There are also boots of water walking, so you'll see me sometimes walking across water because those boots are super OP. There's also boots of feather falling. I haven't encountered an instance where I fell from a great height and took a lot of damage, but I have fallen from some height and I heard my character go, ugh! So I think it's possible. But boots of feather falling, I have tried them on, and it's actually hilarious when you double jump and then you're like slowly gliding back to the ground with the feather falling. And if you're lucky, you can get boots of both, feather falling and water walking. Now, one thing as well is there's like a day-night cycle, and it actually has meaning because tougher and different monsters will come out at night. Also, it seems as though different monsters will drop different loot. So like if you want to farm boots of water walking, I think you want to like specifically target those monsters that come out of the water. And speaking of difficulty, zones have specific levels. So some zones, especially closer to the starter zone, are more docile, but everything has a fixed level. The world doesn't level up with you. I do think certain monster spawns may be based on your level, but in general, right? If things become too difficult, you can go back to an easier zone. If you're feeling like a baller, you can go push into a higher level zone. And again, at night, just everything kind of becomes harder. So if all of a sudden you're in a zone and you're comfortable and then night falls and now you're not comfortable anymore, you know, just back away, not today. We'll point out a couple of things here that we'll walk you through to show the aRPG DNA here. So you got your 4 core attributes: strength, dex, vitality, and magic. As you level up, you get attribute points to allocate. Itemization, you got your normal items, you got your magic, you got your rare. If there's something above rare, I haven't found any. There are, however, I don't have any on hand right now, tomes that you can read that'll permanently give you like strength or dexterity or even a skill point. But they're a one-time use. So once you've read it, if you find a duplicate, you can't use it anymore. I've sold it for gold. Sockets are a big part of the game. Items tend to have quite a few sockets. You have a number of socketables as well. You also have a Horadric cube. They call it the puzzle box. You find it relatively early on, and you can use it. Do I have any here? These are flawed amber. Okay, I don't have anything to demonstrate because I've already transmuted, but 3 of a kind of the lesser gem turns into a flawed gem, right? Chipped to flawed. You have your weapon swap, of course. If we take a look at some of the item stats here, this helm has armor, chance to shock, plus to attack, plus to XP gain. I was holding on to that for the XP gain. The chance to shock actually comes from the lapis lazuli, not the sapphires, the lapis that I've put in there. On my amulet, I got 9 to life. Ring 1, I have Dex and Magic Find. Ring 2, Vitality and mana regen per, I think it's per distance moved. So you can run around to generate mana. That's one thing in this game. You do not passively generate mana, but you'll notice in the world, or maybe you won't notice. Let me see if I can find one. I guess nothing's popping up, but around the world there are like mana crystals. Right, so you'll see this blue dot on the map. These are mana crystals. Spend mana, spend mana, spend mana. Consume that, and boom, it replenishes the mana right there. Again, a quick look at our map. You see we've cured the necropolis. It is now a ruined necropolis, but we have our different waystones. We have our different dungeons, the collapsed pit, the fissure, the ossuary. And again, I've done a couple different playthroughs. The map is always different, but it always has like these elements. They're just going to be arranged in a different way, which may make it either more challenging or otherwise just different to experience the growth of the necropolis. Now, I notice you have a potion as well. So potions are not like D2 potions where you drink it and it's gone. Potions, I believe they have a cooldown, they have a number of charges, but cool thing is that potions can also drop as magic or rare and have additional effects on them. Now my weapon over here, it does a certain amount of damage. I've made it lightning imbued to deal lightning damage. I've inserted some kind of a socketable. So some of these socketables are actually monster hearts. They're like monster pieces at least. As in you'll only get them as drops from specific monsters. On my belt here I have plus 24% extra mana orbs, because on top of those mana crystals that grow in the world, sometimes when you defeat enemies they will drop a mana orb. You walk over that to regain mana. And here are my big boots. Look at that, 20% move speed plus water walking. What an amazing combo. At first, I was keeping my pair of water walking boots separately, and I had some like move speed boots, and I would swap between them whenever I came upon water. But then I got this godly item, plus 20% move speed. I'm only level 6. Then I held on to this to show that there are some items that give you bonuses to your skills. This has plus to Glyph Lunge, plus to Shadow Walk, right? You're getting ranks to your skills. Then if you look at the skill setup, this witch can either go into Blood and Bone or Glyph or Shadow. The skill that I started off with was Blood Lash, then I went for Bone Storm, and then finally I took Shadow Walk because at level 6 you had to take a new skill. So I had to take either this, or that. But yeah, sometimes you get skill unlocks and sometimes you get option upgrades. Option upgrades are like runes. So the first thing I did was I blasted right here, Echo, to get a bunch of reflecting shots on my Bone Storm, which is giga fun, especially in a game where your bullets, they're ricocheting everywhere and destroying the walls and environment. Hilarious, lots of fun, as I said. And then on my Blood Lash, which automatically generates mana on hit, I also started to make it generate life on hit. You have other options as well, right? With Bone Storm, you can make it apply a knockback. Now, the Bone Glyph thing is a little bit more of a complex effect with the Glyph setup. But the short version is, if you played Last Epoch and you know the Rune Master, it's similar to that. So if you look at Glyph Lunge here, right? 3 glyphs form a spell, trigger spells with evocation skills. So with Glyph Lunge, that's the closer that I was telling you about at the start of the video. You have a 14% chance of generating a glyph. So once you've generated 3 glyphs, then you can cast a spell by casting an evocation skill. This here is an evocation skill. This is not. So it's the 1-2 punch here of Glyph Lunge and Spinebreaker. Over here, this was Shadow Walk, which is the teleport with the knockback. For the Blood Lash, you can get Blood Rage, which gives you a longer attack speed boost. You can take Ichor, which would, I think, give you multiple grappling tethers. At first, you only have one. So your first attack is going to grapple the enemy and come here. But then if you attack again, it won't do it again until a short cooldown. So I guess this will give you multiple charges of that. And here you can let it apply blood glyphs, right? So overall, what we're seeing is, there's not a whole lot, right? This, people are going to be like, oh, it's a skill twig. I mean, sure, but this is like a demo that plays up to level 6. I imagine once we're able to level up to like 50 or 20 or whatever it is, we'll have more options here. So folks, if you want to know more, moonbeastgame.com. Join the Discord as well, discord.gg/moonbeast to stay up to date on when you can get your hands on testing this. So this is a title definitely on my radar. I look forward to future developments with this. I'm especially excited for the eventual launch of all the modding support and everything, and really getting to tune things and make your own worlds. But I turn the question to you folks. What are your thoughts on Moonbeast's game? Sound off in the comments, because that's going to wrap up this video. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my supporters for making these videos possible. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to join Rhykkers Raiders for more aRPG content.